Polar bears are infected with a parasite that survives being frozen for 4 years straight. Not weakened, not dormant, still alive, still armed. 8 species of bear exist on Earth. Every single one carries its own disease, its own parasite, its own biological glitch. Some are ancient, some are brand new. One of them isn't caused by a germ at all. Let's go through every bear. Worst first isn't the point. Strangest is polar bear, the freeze-proof worm, the polar bears. Nearly all of them carry a parasite built to survive the Arctic itself. It's called Trichinella nativa, a roundworm. It doesn't spread through water or air. It spreads through eating. Here's the mechanism. Polar bears scavenge. They eat seals. They eat other polar bears. Dead ones, frozen ones, sometimes killed ones. Every meal is a gamble. The worm's larvae sit coiled inside muscle tissue, waiting. Once eaten, they hatch in the stomach. They mature. They mate. Thousands of new larvae are produced, and those larvae migrate straight into bear's own muscles, curling up, waiting for the next scavenger to eat this bear too. Here's the twist. Most Trichinella species die when frozen. This one doesn't. Arctic researchers have documented larvae surviving 4 years at minus 18 degrees Celsius, still capable of infecting the next host that swallows them. Cold isn't defense. Cold is just storage. Studies across the Arctic put infection rates in polar bears as high as 66% in some regions, in some populations. Essentially universal. Most bears carry it and never show it. The disease isn't the danger to the bear. The bear itself has become the danger to whatever eats it next. Most parasites need a host to stay alive. This one needs a food chain to keep eating itself. American black bear, the mite with its own species. American black bears. A skin disease that didn't exist in this species 40 years ago. It's mange, caused by microscopic mites that burrow into skin. In the 1990s, cases started appearing in Pennsylvania, then New York, then Virginia, then West Virginia. A disease with no fixed range, spreading state by state. Here's the mechanism. The mite tunnels into the epidermis, cutting through skin layer by layer using hooked legs built for exactly this. It lays eggs inside the tunnel. The bear's immune system reacts, and that reaction is what actually does the damage. Crusting, thickened skin, and hair loss so severe that infected bears have been photographed nearly bald in the dead of winter, in a species built entirely around insulation. Here's the micro twist. Black bears don't just get regular mange. They get a second, separate kind, caused by a mite species found nowhere else on the planet. Ursidae americanus, a parasite that evolved to infect one species, and one species only. Not a repurposed human mite, not a dog mite, a bear-exclusive mite, built for a bear-exclusive disease. Most skin parasites are opportunists, borrowing whatever host is nearby. This one didn't borrow black bears. It was built for them. Giant panda, the virus that crossed over. Giant pandas. In one winter, a single virus killed 5 captive pandas in a matter of months. The virus is canine distemper. Yes, the same disease your neighbor vaccinates their dog against. Between December 2014 and March 2015, it moved through a wildlife center in China, and it did not stop at species lines. Here's the mechanism. Canine distemper virus spreads through respiratory droplets, coughing, close contact. It attacks multiple systems at once, respiratory, gastrointestinal, and eventually neurological. In dogs, it's manageable with vaccination. In pandas, a species that evolved with almost no exposure to it, there was no immune blueprint waiting to respond. 5 of 6 exposed pandas died. The 6 had been vaccinated. It survived, and it barely got sick at all. Here's the twist. This virus doesn't respect the boundary between wild and domestic, or between species that should be able to infect each other. The same virus has killed lions in the Serengeti, tigers in Chinese zoos, and nearly wiped out black-footed ferrets in North America. A pathogen built for dogs, moving freely through some of the rarest carnivores on the planet. Most animals evolved defenses against the diseases, circling their own ecosystem. Pandas never had to. The threat came from somewhere else entirely. Sun bear. The disease going the wrong direction. Sun bears. This is the one disease on this list that didn't start in a bear. It started in us. Tuberculosis. In a wildlife rescue center in Cambodia, researchers tracked 2 separate TB outbreaks across more than a decade. 30 sun bears infected. 1 Asiatic black bear, and genetic sequencing confirmed something specific. The strains were human strains. Here's the mechanism. These bears were rescued from captivity, from close, prolonged contact with people. Tuberculosis spreads through respiratory droplets, coughing, shared air, shared space. In this case, the infection didn't jump from wildlife into a human. It jumped from a human into wildlife, then bear to bear. Whole genome sequencing on 100 bacterial samples lets scientists trace, almost outbreak by outbreak, exactly how the infection moved between individual animals over the years. Here's the twist. Most bear diseases follow a script. Animal picks it up from prey. from the environment, from another animal. This one flipped the script entirely. The most dangerous exposure a sun bear can have isn't a predator. It's proximity to people trying to help it. Most zoonotic disease stories run one direction, wild animal to human. This one runs backward. Andean bear, the disease with no pathogen at all. Andean bears, the last one on this list, and it isn't caused by a virus. Not a mite, not a worm. Nothing you could put under a microscope and find swimming. In captivity, some female Andean bears develop a slow, progressive hair loss that spreads across the neck, chest, and limbs over months. Skin biopsies show something unmistakable. An active immune attack, T cells and inflammatory cells swarming the hair follicles, shutting them down from the inside. Here's the mechanism. Researchers cross-checked every documented case and found one shared trait. Every affected bear was female. Every affected bear was housed socially, kept with other bears, in close, permanent contact. Andean bears in the wild are almost entirely solitary. Adults interact only to mate. Everything else is silence and distance. The proposed explanation is that forced, prolonged closeness triggers a stress response severe enough to rewire the endocrine system, and the immune system starts treating the bear's own hair follicles as a threat. Here's the twist. There's no pathogen to isolate. No mite, no virus, no worm. The trigger isn't something entering the body. It's an environment the bear's biology was never built to tolerate. Every disease so far on this list came from something outside the bear, a parasite, a mite, a virus-jumping species. This one comes from inside, the body reacting to a life it wasn't designed to live. If you're finding these species half as strange as I am, drop your favorite one in the comments. The mite with its own species, or the disease with no pathogen at all. 8 species of bear. 8 completely different ways to get sick. Frozen worms. Species-exclusive mites. A borrowed dog virus. A human disease running in reverse. And one bear whose own body turns on itself, for no reason a microscope can find. Different continents, different centuries of evolution. Every single one, still finding a new way to break down.